it's not the amount of time, it's the quality of the time and the presence of your quality of time. I think that I find, which is most powerful, at least in my relationship, where I may only have a half hour to an hour of time a day, certain days, maybe right now, but my phone is not anywhere near me. I am looking in her eyes the whole time. I'm engaged, asking questions. How's your mom? How's your family? How's this? Tell me, what can I do for you? Can we play a game right now? Can we do something fun? Can we dance a little? It's the presence to the quality of time. And I'm sure the more time you have, better, but it's got to be quality time from my personal experience. Are you finding that that's what I guess women and men want as well when you're coaching people?
Oh, these issues go both ways.
Yeah.
You know, men can have the same insecurities as women can in these situations. And it comes down to which partner might feel busier, which one has got more to do right now. It could be like, it's a tough situation. If one person in a relationship right now and they're living under the same roof feels like they've got tons to do and tons of purpose and tons, you know, like I can lose myself in my mission and what I'm doing right now. And their partner
and be fine. And the partner has lost a job or lost this or.
Right. Or I haven't figured out what my thing is yet. I don't know what, you know, you have your mission. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I'm waiting for you to come home every day. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm sitting here picking random hobbies out of thin air because I feel like everyone keeps telling me now's the time to learn a hobby. So I'm like, should I learn guitar? Should I?
Right. Or worse, I'm on social media watching everyone else's perfect relationship and everyone else thriving, and I feel less than.
Yeah, exactly. And that, by the way, that's really, we've got to be really careful of that right now. We're used to comparing ourselves to others on social media through the lens of, you know, we're seeing their highlight reel of their life, you know, oh, they're traveling now. Look at them sipping a beach on the cocktail. Look at them doing this skydive. Look at, we're seeing the highlight reel of their life. I think now we're seeing the highlight reel of people's emotions. So in quarantine, people don't have that life, right? We've not got all of these activities that we could be doing, but we're all of a sudden seeing that moment where someone's just finished their yoga workout and they post and they're like, you know, I got this quarantine, just did my yoga, blah, blah, blah. And you're
on the day.
Exactly. But yeah, exactly. But you're not seeing like Matthew Hussey in the moment where he's like super grumpy and like irritable and just like, this is not my day and I'm not feeling it today and I don't want to make a video today. And I've made a point of saying things like that out loud because I think it's important that people get the full spectrum of what other people are going through. Because guess what? Other people are going to dark places. Other people are having their freakouts. Other people are having those moments of depression or deep melancholy. People are having those, but it's not necessarily the things that they're posting about, especially in the worlds that we operate in, Lewis, where there's a hell of a lot of people wanting to show how well they're doing under the circumstances, how positive they're being, and so on.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people that are feeling really lonely because they just went through a breakup, whether it be the end of the year or months ago, or maybe, you know, they just went through a breakup this week in the middle of quarantine and they're lonely, they're alone, they're emotionally hurt, and they're needing that kind of quick connection again. They might go back to the person because they're feeling weak and they miss that feeling of connection or love or intimacy. But they know it's not the right fit for them long term. They know, but this is in a heightened state of vulnerability for them that they go back quicker. What advice do you have to someone like that? Very hard.
I have so much. Firstly, a breakup, even under normal circumstances, is a tremendously difficult thing. True. I shouldn't say a breakup because there are many joyous breakups we go through, but when you experience true heartbreak, it is one of the most devastating feelings in the world.
Devastating.
You're a zombie.
You're dead. You're dead inside.
And it's worse than you're dead inside. You act dead to everybody else. Inside, you feel like you're dying.
Yeah. That's true.
On loop all day.
You can't get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. in a breakup, and this is as true now. Now's no different. People need to recognize that now is just a difficult breakup on steroids, right? If you're going through heartbreak right now, you're just doing it on steroids, but it's just the same emotions. So don't fret that, oh my God, why did it have to happen now when this was going on? You're giving it a big story. It's still just the same emotions of heartbreak. You're just experiencing them in a heightened way.
And you don't have the ability to rebound physically with that person or a new person,
which we could see as a gift.
Right. Why is that a gift?
Because there are plenty of things, as my brother Stephen Hussey, a wonderful writer for our website, as he says, in a breakup, there are two methods of recovery. There's the athlete recovery method, and there's the hangover recovery method. You're going to like this, Lewis.
Tell me. I love it.
You haven't heard it before, but you're going to love it because the analogy is perfect for you.
I love it.
The hangover recovery method, you think about how do people deal with a hangover? They wake up, they eat greasy foods because they're like, oh, I just need something to make me feel better. They watch crap TV. They lay on the sofa. They
wake up at 2 p.m. Yeah.
Shut all the blinds. Don't let any light in. Eat ice cream. Essentially, they do all of these things that are temporary kind of pleasure and comfort, but ultimately are not nutritional and are not the things that are needed to get, what's needed? Massive amounts of hydration.
Water.
Go take a walk.
Sunshine. Yeah.
Right.
Exercise.
Get the metabolism moving again. Get that like crap out of your system. Like that's all the stuff that's needed in that moment. But it can feel harder to do the things that are actually going to get you out of it. Now look at the way an athlete recovers in an injury, right? You know better than anybody.
Yeah.
You don't, firstly, you still train whatever you can train. You don't ignore everything simply because your shoulder's injured. You do what you can.
Yeah, you do some abs, you do some legs, you do something else.
Right. Let me keep a hand.
Swimming. Yeah.
Exactly. You eat well. You get tons of rest, as much rest as you possibly can. You do rehab where necessary, but you don't do so much that it injures what you're doing.
Yeah, you reset your vision. You visualize what you want and start mentally rehearsing the reps, the repetition, the action steps. You mental rehearse, all those things, right?
So now if you apply that to a breakup, the hangover recovery method is let's go and sleep with other people quickly just to get my fix, just to feel connected, just to feel like I'm worth something, just to feel like I'm still sexy. Let me go out and drink, party. Let me eat ice cream, bad food, keep going to the fridge.
Get on Tinder and all the apps and
right. Or not, or just hide away under the covers. Don't engage life. It could be either or, but they're all hangover recovery methods because they don't make you feel better long-term. They're just short-term pleasure. The athlete recovery method in a breakup is you do the same as an athlete. You say, okay, my heart might be injured right now, right? My heart's offline, so to speak, but I still have everything else. So let me make sure the rest of my life is firing on all cylinders right now. Let me do everything. Let me be kind to myself. Let's maybe like put dating aside for the moment or put that, but let me go and make platonic connections. Let me go and build my relationships with my friends and family. Let me eat well. Let me sleep well. Let me train. Let me go and do all of these things that train every other muscle in my life so that when my heart comes back online, every other part of me is ready to go. So you got one problem right now. You're in pain, right? But if that pain causes you to let every other part of your life go down, spiral, now you got 6 problems. So that's the part we want to avoid. And
only have 1 problem, not 6.
Right. And look, it's all of this is easy to say. And when you're heartbroken, you just feel like you feel so bad and so sick in your stomach and so nauseated all the time that even hearing this sounds like a lot of work. And what I would say to people as a really manageable step is there's that quote, emotions are weather, let them come and go. Right. And that's true. Emotions are weather. I used to think that emotions were really important. A friend of mine, Jameson Jordan, who who shoots my videos, he would always tell me whenever I would be in a real funk, a bad place, whatever, I would talk to him about it. He was one of the closest people to me. And I always remember he used to say to me, like, I just think you think your emotions are more important than I feel like mine are.
You put more emphasis on your
emotions. You like think they're really important. You think
your emotions are you.
Yeah, he would be like, you just seem to like give more weight to your feelings than I do. And at the time, I didn't quite hear that. And over time, I've come to understand what that means. And of course, a lot of this is taught in mindfulness training, meditation, and so on. But that idea that just because you have a thought, just because you have an emotion, it doesn't make it important. And in a heartbreak, just because you miss your partner, that doesn't actually make that feeling that important. Just because you feel hurt and you feel like, oh my God, I'll never find anyone like that again. That's just a thought and an emotion that's attached to that thought. And it doesn't make it that important. And so when I was going through terrible times, when I've gone through heartbreak, one of the key lessons I learned was, okay, there's really cloudy skies right now. That's the weather, right? And it feels like that weather will never pass. But what I would begin to pay attention to is I would realize, oh, for the last 20 minutes, I didn't think about my breakup.
The small wins.
I'd be like, yeah. And often you only notice it after the fact. Because when you're in it, it could be that you're in a flow state with your work and that's taken you out of it. It could be that you're having a funny moment with a friend. It could be that you lost yourself in a movie. It could be you just had a conversation with your brother, your mother, whoever.
A workout, yeah. For
a few minutes. Even if it's just 5. For 5 minutes, you noticed, I felt better. And maybe I didn't feel amazing, but for 5 minutes, I didn't feel like I was dying.
I didn't feel suffering.
And when that happens, here's what I would say to myself. I'd be like, well, that's interesting. Notice those things as interesting. And this applies not just to heartbreak, but to depression, to anxiety, to all sorts of different emotions that are undesirable. When you notice that for 5 minutes of your day, you didn't feel that thing. Because here's what happens. We have our, whatever is our home, whether it's depression, heartbreak, anxiety, sadness, we have our home that we go to.
Yeah.
90% of our day. And when we feel that, we focus on it so intensely that it becomes very difficult to get out of it because we are focused on that 90% the whole time. And what we don't acknowledge is this interesting window in the day where we didn't feel that. And that window has some clues, there's some truth often in that window, that 5% of the day where you felt all right. There's some truth there that's waiting to be discovered, enlarged, held under a microscope. And what I would do is when I would feel better for 5 minutes, I'd go, well, okay, so if nothing else, what did that prove? It proved that it's possible for me to feel better. I had a reference point for the fact that I could feel better. And then you go, well, if I felt better for 5 minutes, if I even felt better for a minute, let's make more of those. What was happening? How did I do it? I might not be able to get my day to the point where I even feel good for a quarter of the day right now, right? That might be an unrealistic goal. But if I had 1 good minute or 1 good hour, let me make the new goal, not to be great or to be happy or to get over this, just make more of those.
Yeah. And multiply those moments, multiply those minutes into 5 and 10 and 20 minutes.
Which is a manageable task. Suddenly getting over your heartbreak, you need to get over it, dude. Blah, blah, blah. That's not practical advice for someone who's going through hell. But for someone who realizes that just for 5 minutes, the clouds parted and they go, oh my God.
It's like one of my favorite movies, Swingers, where Mikey is always thinking about his ex and who he left, and then now she won't come back to him 6 months ago or whatever, and he's constantly talking about it, obsessing about it, suffering in pain, and then he finally learns to just put his attention somewhere else.
That's right.
For a few minutes, and then put it for an hour, and then he goes on a date with someone, and then
That's right.
he forgot he thought about her for a day. And he was like, wow, I didn't talk about her all today, you know?
Right.
And
And
it's
Lewis,
like,
here's what's so important about that, because what's really interesting about that movie is he begins to do these things that slowly start to create more moments of good weather in his day.
He goes salsa dancing. He does this. He does activities. Yeah.
Right. But what we have to be aware of, you have to respect whatever is the drug, whether it's your ex, whether it's genuinely a drug or booze, or whether it's a situation that makes you feel bad or whatever. Often when we start to create more good weather, we start to take for granted that the bad weather can't appear now. It's like, oh, I've arrived.
Past it. Yeah. No, it could come back. A storm could come raging through again.
Your ex could text you, and if you text back and start engaging, knowing what happens, that when you start in a conversation with that person again, you're going to spiral. You're not respecting the drug. You might have been clean for months or years, but you got to respect the drug, because you don't is when you get cocky and you don't remember that there are rituals and routines and practices daily that got you to this good state. You are liable to fall back into that trap because you're blind. Don't be blind. Don't be afraid. It's not about fear. You're not fearful. You're not worried, because if I didn't die at the height of my breakups pain, if I didn't die on day 2, I'm not going to die on day 22 or day 52 or day 1002. If I could deal with this at the height of its pain, I'm not going to die now. So I'm not going to be afraid of this, but I'm also going to respect it. And know that there are certain things that make me feel better in my day, and I have to consciously put them into my day, because the moment I take for granted that I just feel better, that's when that thing starts creeping.
Yeah, exactly. I'm laughing so hard because we we have a mutual friend that we've been helping. I won't say his name, but we've been helping navigate certain things in their relationship. And, it just reminded me of that, of replying to people when they text you, when you think you're good. Hey, don't go back into that. Make sure you stay true to what you want, what you're committed to, by the athlete mindset of envisioning something that you want for your future, envisioning the right relationship or the better match, or, how you want to be feeling, and all those things.
Right. And by the way, and just remember, and this is true, not just for people going through heartbreak right now, but people going through solitude right now, because there's a lot of people who right now are just in solitude. They're not necessarily heartbroken, but they are experiencing a deep kind of existential loneliness. And when we're on our own for long periods of time, many people, not everyone, but many people, and perhaps even most, have more of a tendency to go to dark places with their thoughts.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are there that are listening to us right now that certainly can't, some people might be in a hell with someone in the house, but these people in solitude are looking at that going, I'll take that right now over the hell I'm in of being constantly on my own and going out of my mind. I would say to people that, the same weather rule applies, that, you might feel really kind of dark and lonely at points in your day, but there are other points in your day where you don't. Notice the good weather and pay attention to the good weather and what made you feel good. Did you just have a conversation with one of your siblings? Did you have a little group chat with a bunch of friends? Did you watch a life-affirming movie? Did you read a book that made you feel connected to an author from some period in time, maybe who was also alone and writing about it? And by reading that author, you go, oh my God, I feel, someone else is having the same experience as me. I think that's really important, is if you're in solitude right now on your own, you connect to other people who have experienced that, because some of the greatest figures of all time have spent inordinate amounts of time alone, have experienced the darkness that you're experiencing, and you're in good company. You may feel you're alone, and we have this solipsistic attitude that we're the only one who's alone. We know it's not rationally true. We know it's not logically true, but we feel it on an emotional level. Those are moments where you have to remind yourself, I'm in good company, not just today, but throughout time. Key figures, brilliant people that are far more brilliant than we will ever be, have experienced the deepest, darkest existential loneliness, and in a way, there is something slightly romantic about that. I always love when I read an author and I hear that author who's brilliant and who I love. And I was just reading Bertrand Russell, and then you hear about something that someone suffers with or something that they've gone through, and you go, oh, thank God. This person that I love also,
suffered.
Grew up. Also,
right.
There's that element of it that's really, really powerful. And so I think that you can adopt, yes, accept that it's difficult. It is difficult. Don't look at other people and think they're handling it so well. It is difficult. I'd call my dad at times when business was hard and business was messy and like chaotic, and I'd screwed up or I'd lost money or I'd done something. I'd call my dad and I'd be like, my dad's one of my big mentors, and I'd call him and say, Dad, like, I'm just so stressed. I'm so overwhelmed. This is happening. This is going wrong. I got 10 people asking me for this, whatever. And he'd say, Matt, part of the problem is you don't think that other people's businesses are just as messy. It's almost like you think that you're struggling with all these things and other people aren't. He said, Matt, I've been in business for, 40 years. Business is messy. That is the nature of it. It is messy. It is chaotic. There are always things going wrong as well as things going right. That's the nature. That's how it is supposed to be. And when he would say that to me, it didn't take my problems away. But what it made me realize is, oh, it's all right. It's not, this is normal. I'm on top of my problems. I'm beating myself up and taking it personally that I'm doing a horrible job.
Yeah. It's kind of like your dad and Jameson are saying the same thing. Your feelings are more important. Your mess is more important.
A, don't give it so much power, and B, and don't give your feelings and emotions so much power. Not every emotion is a cue to do something. But at the same time, accept that this is your view. That, in The Road Less Traveled, M. Scott Peck talked about, I think one of the first line of his book is life is hard. And one of the things that makes life more difficult for us is that we expect it to be easy. That's true of relationships. It's true of business. It's true of everything. And when we have someone close to us who says, you're all right. You're at home on your own right now. And you feel like it's dark and lonely and you're having these kind of existential thoughts, and you're welcome. That's normal. Of course you do. You're living at home on your own in isolation right now. Of course you're feeling these things. You're not a screw up. You're not weak. You're not handling it terribly because you're having these thoughts. That is absolutely normal. And that's what makes it heroic, is that you're having all these thoughts and you're having all these feelings, but you're in the company of wonderful people throughout history who have experienced this, who have had just as bad a time, who were dealing with it no better than you. But in that company, you can kind of then assume your hero's journey and go,
and overcome it.
My personal hell right now. I'm going to keep going anyway. Instead of sharing, we're dumping. A loving partner will support you and will do everything in their power to make you feel loved. And it's absolutely true that sometimes what we're feeling as insecurity is because our partner isn't doing their job.